Once upon a time, in a small village on the edge of a great forest, there lived a sweet girl known as Little Red Riding Hood. She was named after the bright red cloak she always wore, a gift from her beloved grandmother. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asked her to take a basket of goodies to her grandmother, who was feeling ill and lived deep in the woods. "Remember, stay on the path and don't talk to strangers," her mother warned. Excited for the adventure, Little Red Riding Hood set off. As she walked through the forest, she marvelled at the tall trees and chirping birds. Suddenly, a large wolf appeared from behind a tree. Though he seemed friendly, his eyes gleamed with a cunning plan. "Where are you going, little girl?" asked the wolf. "I'm visiting my grandmother to bring her these goodies," she replied innocently. The wolf, eager to find out where the grandmother lived, suggested she pick some flowers to brighten her grandmother's day. While Little Red Riding Hood gathered flowers, the wolf dashed off to the grandmother's cottage. He arrived quickly, knocked on the door, and disguised his voice. "It's Little Red Riding Hood," he called. "Come in, dear," replied the grandmother. The wolf entered, quickly overpowered the grandmother, and locked her in the closet. Then he dressed in her nightgown and cap and slipped into her bed to wait for Little Red Riding Hood. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived, she was surprised to find the door open and the cottage dimly lit. She approached her grandmother's bed and noticed something strange. "Grandmother, what big ears you have!" she exclaimed. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf. "And grandmother, what big eyes you have! All the better to see you with. But grandmother, what big teeth you have! All the better to eat you with," roared the wolf, leaping out of bed. Just as the wolf was about to pounce, a nearby woodsman heard the commotion and burst into the cottage. With a mighty swing of his axe, he scared the wolf away, saving Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother. Grateful and relieved, Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother tightly and promised to always listen to her mother's advice. From that day on, she never strayed from the path again, always remembering the lesson she had learned, and they all lived happily ever after.